The digital landscape today is fraught with uncertainty, infighting, and divisiveness. However, like a moth to a flame, I cannot stop myself from regularly opening my Twitter app and as well as my other social media accounts and observing the drama threaded out before me. I watch as people tear one another down with reckless abandon, lobbing clever quips and biting comebacks across the safe distance and anonymity provided by these digital spaces. What makes it even more sad is the fact that the individuals engaged in these scuffles have so much in common with one another. They often share a similar love for country, for faith, and for their mutual interests. Yet while online, they appear as polar opposites or bitter enemies. This is enough, O Lord. I echo Elijah in the first reading this Sunday. I shout this into the void. This is enough, O Lord. And yet, this continues day after day, hour after hour, and minute after minute. This frustration comes to mind when we see Jesus confronted by his fellow Galileans in this Sunday's gospel. After having fed them with a multitude of loaves and fishes, and after sharing the news of his generous gift of self as the bread of life, the crowds start to murmur about Jesus, akin to the start of a negative thread unrolling on Twitter. They begin by questioning his credentials and his family heritage. They put some doubt in others' minds about the veracity of Jesus's words and his actions. The text notes that the crowds talk about him behind his back, in a seemingly anonymous space, without confronting him face to face. But Jesus calls them out. He stops the divisiveness in its tracks and responds by invoking their shared cultural heritage, saying, your ancestors, our ancestors, ate manna in the desert, to remind them that what unites them is more important than what divides them. He then reiterates the compassionate message of the bread of life, that his mission is to give his life and his love to the whole world, even to those who would beat him down. In this way, Jesus is giving us a model for our divisive and divided world. He asks us to step out of anonymity, to remember our shared story, and to proceed with selfless compassion for one another. St. Paul echoes this wisdom in his letter to the Ephesians. He says, all bitterness, fury, anger, shouting, and reviling must be removed from you, along with malice. And then he goes on to say what should replace these elements. He says, be kind to one another, compassionate, forgiving one another as God has forgiven you in Christ. St. Paul's summary should be our mantra too. When we next open our mobile apps, or when we're tempted to engage online. This simple yet profound message of boundless and selfless love, modeling the Lord's example in today's gospel, is truly enough, O Lord, to counter all that assails us today.